Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy, and we are going to do the Way of Mastery. The Way of Mastery. I want to welcome you all and give you an opportunity to come online, and we're going to do the section called the Cultivating the Grace of Allowing. Cultivating the Grace of Allowing. And I'm going to see if I can find out exactly where this is, because I'm using my Kindle. And so that means we're in lesson 21, and we're in the section that's called Cultivating the Grace of Allowing. I'm not sure what page it is, mighty companions. I wish I knew what page it is, but it's in the Way of Mastery, lesson 21. And we're in the section called Cultivating the Grace of Allowing. Those of you who might have the book, because I'm using my Kindle, if you know what page that is in the Way of Transformation, in the Way of Mastery, I would appreciate it if you would let us know what page that's in the Way of Mastery book, because I'm doing the Way of Mastery and the Way of Transformation, but I'm doing it from my Kindle, and in my Kindle it doesn't have the page numbers. So lesson 21, Cultivating the Grace of Allowing. So if you know what page that is, then let's put it out there. Also, I want to invite you to share on your timeline, share the video, share what we're doing, and I'm so glad to be here with you, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to share with you. It's always a pleasure when I get a chance to work with my mighty companions, because that's what you are. You are my mighty companions. That is you. That is you. So we're going to start with, again, Cultivating the Grace. It's on page 251. Thank you, Demola. So we're on page 251, Cultivating the Grace of Allowing. So take a breath. Let's take a breath. And I just came out of a tremendous rainstorm. So it's just taking me a second to allow myself to get centered. And so just remember, mighty companions, that you don't have to believe the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. Some of the ideas may be hard to believe. Some of the ideas may be quite startling. But we're not asking you to judge the ideas at all. It's going to be the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. No amount of analyzing is going to do it. I'll say it again. No amount of analyzing is going to really bring home what we're talking about today. What's going to bring home what we're talking about today is going to be us listening to what we're being told, and then we're going to do what it is that we are being told to do. Cultivating the Grace of Allowing. So let's start on page 251. In the Way of Transformation, in the Way of Mastery. So the first thing that Yeshua is telling us to do in the Way of Mastery is it's saying, I want you to imagine for the next 30 days that the only thing that mattered was the cultivating of the grace of allowing. So for the next month, we are going to act like the only thing that I'm going to do for the next month is I'm going to cultivate my ability to allow. For the next month, and the next 30 days, all that matters is I'm going to cultivate the grace of allowing. Now, I'm going to slow down what I'm saying. Is it on page 251 or page 257? I've heard both of them. So let me know whether it's page 251 or 257. In the book, because I'm using my Kindle, so that everybody just coming online will know where to go. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you cultivate the grace of allowing? Okay, it is 257. Thanks, Demola. How do you do that? Take a breath and ask yourself, well, how do I do that? How do I cultivate the grace of allowing? Well, by coming down. By doing what? By coming down, once again, to the most concrete, that means the most mundane, That means the most ordinary experiences of any given day. In other words, when you turn on your water in your shower in the morning, actually take the time to be present, and then to feel its coolness change to heat, and to recognize that you have just observed the constant dance of change in your world. So how do you cultivate the grace of allowing? Okay, it starts with the everyday things that you do. And that's what I love about the way of mastery. It's not saying that you have to go any further than your everyday life. It's not necessary for you to go any further than your everyday world. It can be something as simple as when you take a shower in the morning. No, if you're drinking coffee, if you're eating breakfast, no matter what you're doing, it says what you should do is say to yourself, I allow this change to occur. I'm taking a shower, I allow this change to occur. I'm now eating breakfast, I allow this change to occur. I'm now putting on my clothes to get ready to go to work. I allow this change to occur. I'm now doing the way of mastery with you, my mighty companion. So what am I going to say? I'm going to say, I allow this change to occur. So take a moment right now, no matter what you may be experiencing, no matter what may be happening in your experience right now, take a moment, take a breath and say, I allow this change to happen. I allow this change to occur. Say that to yourself. I allow this change to occur. Now, yes, it makes you sound like you're some great being, when in fact, change is going to happen anyway. But we need to learn how to have fun with change. One of the biggest breakthroughs for me on my spiritual path was when I stopped doing now that I see one of the most ridiculous things that I was constantly trying to do. I realized I was really trying to keep things from changing. That is ridiculous. The Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery both say the one thing you can count on, the one thing you can always count on is change. So what you should start doing if you want to claim your power, you want to say, I allow change to occur. It's going to happen anyway. So you just as well have some fun with it. It's going to happen anyway. Change is going to happen anyway. So have fun with it. In other words, if you burn your toast, take a deep breath. And before your egoic mind begins to complain, before you start to complain about burning your toast, for instance, and whine that the toast is not the way that you want it to be, stop, look at the burnt toast, for instance, and actually experience the burnt toast. You are driving down the street and you happen to have a flat tire. And then your egoic mind is all ready to complain about that, all ready to get upset about that, all ready to go off about that. Stop and look at it. Stop and look at the toast, for instance. Stop and look at the flat tire, for instance. And then say, I allow this toast to be burnt. I allow this tire to be flat. I allow it. Whatever is happening in your experience right now, in order to claim your power, no matter what it is, in order to gain your power, say, I allow this to be. And now, that means you are free to choose to eat the toast, or you're free to start brand new. You're free to get the tire changed, or you're free to not. But what you want to do is you want to get into the habit of cultivating your ability to allow things to happen. So if you get into your car and you pull out of your garage and raindrops start to hit the windshield, which is exactly what I just got through experiencing because I was in a downpour, simply give yourself permission. Give yourself what kind of permission? Give yourself permission to bring your mind back. Back from where? Give your yourself permission to bring your mind back from the future and into the present. And you say, I allow the falling of the rain, for example. It's just that simple. I allow this broadcast to take place. I allow the rain to fall. I allow myself to wear this shirt that I have on. I allow myself to talk to you. These are all things that you do in order to do what? These are the things that you do in order to cultivate the grace of allowing. You want to cultivate the grace of allowing. So you see the power of transformation. When we talk about the power of transformation, what are we talking about? When someone says it's time for transformation, what are they talking about? They're talking about it's time for the transformation of your consciousness. It's time for your consciousness to be transformed. Actually, do you realize that it is only your consciousness that can be transformed? The only thing that can be transformed is your consciousness. So when you say, I'm ready to tune into the power of transformation, you're saying, I am ready to tune into the power of transforming my consciousness. So how do you transform your consciousness? How do you transform your consciousness? Learning is a consciousness thing. So the way that you transform your consciousness is through learning. So what is it that the way of mastery is? What is the way of mastery doing? The way of mastery is giving us new learnings. Do you know that when you have a new learning, then that is when you are transforming your consciousness? Now, there's something that I'm going to tell you right now, and you know how I do my my classes. I do not speed. I have absolutely no interest in how fast we can move through things. What I'm interested in is in us coming together to actually hear what we're being told to do. So I don't care if in the next hour we cover 3 sentences. If it's 3 sentences that we actually remember, if it's actually 3 sentences that we will use. So the first thing that we were told to do is we got to cultivate the grace of allowing. How do you cultivate the grace of allowing? You cultivate the grace of allowing by, no matter what's happening in your physical experience right now, you say, I allow that. I allow this. And then you go into the power of transformation. Now, what is the power of transformation? The power of transformation is in the transformation of your consciousness. So how do you transform your consciousness? The way that you transform your consciousness is through learning, because it's your consciousness that's the only thing that can be changed. That means it is only in your consciousness that learning can happen. So learning happens in your consciousness. Transformation happens in your consciousness. And all learning is designed to translate perception. So what is all learning designed to do? All learning is designed to translate perception so that your perception becomes more and more and more like reality itself. So what is the purpose of learning? The purpose of learning is to translate your perception, get you to change the way that you're looking at things, so that the way you're looking at things become more and more like the truth, so that your way of looking at things looks more and more like reality. Fear dissolves from the mind. So how do you get fear to dissolve from your mind? Through learning to translate your perception so that your perception becomes more and more and more like reality. So that your perception becomes more and more and more loving. When your perception becomes more and more loving, when your perception is more and more and more like the truth, your fear will dissolve from your mind. So do you want to let go of all fear? Would you like to see fear dissolve from your mind? Well, the way you get fear to dissolve from your mind is to translate your way of looking at things. Change your way of looking at things to dissolve the fear in your mind. You have to change your way of looking at things to dissolve fear from your mind. You change your way of looking at things so that your way of looking at things are more like the truth, so that your way of looking at things are more like love. How do you do that? You do that through learning. So fear dissolves from your mind as you see things more and more correctly. And then once that fear has been dissolved from your mind, then God, your Father, the Creator, can take the last step for you and move you totally into love and move you totally into reality. So, what does that mean? Well, first, I want you to take a breath. Take a breath and say, I allow this, I allow this, I allow this. I allow myself to listen to what Raj is saying. I allow myself to be a part of the Way of Mastery class. I allow myself to watch this presentation. I allow myself. I allow this, I allow this, I allow this. So take a minute to tell yourself you are willing to allow this. Now, what is it that's necessary? What is the thing that's necessary? In the field of perception, what is the thing that's necessary? Learning. You have placed yourself within the learning field. Right now, you are in a field of learning. That's just almost like saying, right now, you are in a field of corn, okay? Right now, you are in a field of learning. So why not get on with it? Why not let your perception be healed? So say to yourself right now, I allow my perception to be healed. 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 Say it with me. I allow my perception to be healed. 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 So how do you allow your perception to be healed? How do you allow your perception to be healed? How do I allow my perception to be healed? How do we allow our perception to be healed? Well, you allow your perception to be healed by bringing the power of observation to what's right in front of you. Not what's right in front of the body, but right in the field of awareness. In other words, that's why you should be dancing in your shoes at all times. In other words, you don't really have to go anywhere in order to dance in awareness. Awareness is right here in front of you. What do you mean, Earl, that awareness is right here in front of me? It means that in this ordinary moment, this ordinary moment provides the doorway to the transformation. This moment provides the doorway. I didn't say the next moment. I didn't say the last moment. I said this ordinary moment. This ordinary moment provides the doorway to the transformation of consciousness. So all you have to do, what is it that you have to do? If you want to go through a transformation of consciousness, what do you have to do? If you want to go through a transformation of consciousness, what do you have to do? You have to just bring a little willingness to it. Go, I allow the transformation of my consciousness. Because remember, we're going to be cultivating the grace of allowance. That's what we're doing in this particular way of mastery. And I'm Earl Purdy, and I'm so glad to be here with you on Facebook Live. And I really appreciate your support. I appreciate your support in the form of sharing my videos on Facebook and on your timeline so that other people who would benefit from it can see it. I welcome all the new people that are here live. And the reason why I'm doing this live is so that we can interact with each other. So I'm glad to see all of you online. I always take the time to read all of your comments, even if I can't read all of your comments right during the presentation because we have hundreds of people from all over the world, but I do read your comments. And sometimes during the presentation, I may respond to your comments. So how do you transform? It says, all I have to do is bring a little willingness to it. And guess what? I have all power under heaven and earth to do just that. What is the power under heaven and earth that you have? You have the power to bring a little willingness to your willingness to be aware and to allow change. I have all the power under heaven and earth to allow change. Change is going to happen anyway, but if you tell yourself you're willing to allow change, then you're claiming more power for yourself. Nobody can take your power from you. Nobody can take your power from you. Nobody can take your power from you. Nobody can put a curse on you. Nobody can put a hex on you. No one else can affect your thinking but you. Now, you can allow other people to affect your thinking by believing the things that they may say, but that's not them controlling you. That's not them taking your power away from you. That would be you giving your power away. So you never have to accept anyone else's opinion of you. You don't have to accept anybody else's validation of you. You have all power. You have all power. You have all power under heaven, and you have all power under heaven and earth. Nobody can take that power from you. Nobody can change the freedom in which you live. So we're going to take a moment to say that to ourselves until we hear it. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Take a breath. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Nobody can change the freedom in which I live. Take a minute. I say, I allow this, 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 I allow my freedom. I allow my freedom. I allow my freedom. I allow my freedom. Don't forget, tonight, what we are doing, we are cultivating the grace of allowing change. That's the purpose of us being together right now. I am the one who can bring that little willingness to this moment. So who is the one that can bring the willingness to allow change in this moment? You are the one who can bring that willingness to this moment. You can let the raindrops hit the window. You can let my voice be heard by you. You can let yourself watch this broadcast. You are the one that has all power under heaven and earth. So if you look around yourself, you will discover, if you look around yourself in any given day, that there are lots of things to keep you occupied. You can look around yourself and you will discover there are plenty of reasons why. Guess what? Boredom is nothing more than a decision. Boredom is a decision. If you are, do you know that if you are bored right now, it's because you have decided to be bored. Do you know if you are bored right now, you have decided to be boring yourself? A person that's bored is a boring person. I'll say that again. The person who thinks they're bored is a boring person. A person that was not boring would not be suffering from boredom. So boredom is a decision, because right in front of you, why is boredom a decision? Because right in front of you is the richness of a pathway. Right in front of you is the richness of a pathway, translated by God, the Comforter, from a dream of separation to the royal highway to the kingdom of love. In other words, all power under heaven and earth lies within you. You. All power under heaven and earth lies within you in this moment. All power is within you in this moment, and this moment, and in this moment, and in this moment, and in this moment. What is the power that you have? The power that you have is to choose again. You have the power to choose again. You have the power to make another choice. You have the power to make another decision. But it is time to take such statements, all of these statements that we are hearing from the Way of Mastery. It is time to take these statements like you have all power. It's time for you to take that statement out of the realm of abstract intellect. Do you know that it's time to take everything from abstract intellect into very concrete lived moments? In other words, brothers and sisters, it is time for us to live the truth. Not intellectualize about it, not analyze it, not fight it, but to live it. So, where can I choose again? Where can I choose again? Right now. You can choose again right now. You can accept and allow raindrops to hit the window. You can be present with whatever is happening in your experience right now. Whatever is happening in your experience right now, you can be present with whatever happening in your experience right now. You can hear whatever is happening in your experience right now. You can watch, for instance, the raindrops that's hitting the window. You can watch them trickle down, and instead of being annoyed, instead of letting your mind go off into the future, instead of letting your mind drift off into future adventures, you could just be present. Like right now. Right now. If you find yourself right now thinking about something that happened in the past today, or if you find yourself right now thinking about what you're going to do after this presentation, then you're not being present. And it's in the present, that's where your power is located. So you should tell yourself the point of power is in the present. The present is my point of power. The present is the point of power. Right now, the present is the point of power. Right now, the present is the point of power. So we have to cultivate the art of being present right now, as the very presence of a mind that's free. So I'm going to be the very presence of a free mind right now. I have a free mind right now. I have a free mind right now. You have a free mind right now. What does that mean? It means you are free to think what you want to think right now. See, the power of the mind comes from you knowing it's okay for you to think whatever you want to think. It's okay for you to think whatever you want to think. You get in touch with the power of your mind. You get in touch with the freedom of your mind by recognizing that you can think whatever you want to think. You don't have to think what anybody else wants you to think. You don't have to believe what anybody else wants you to believe. You have the power to believe whatever you want to believe. You can think whatever you want to think. So you can cultivate the art of being present right now. And the very presence of a mind that is free, you can cultivate that right now. Okay, so that's right, Arlene. Love is never boring, and we are love. Love is never boring, and we are love. And that's right, Kathy. The present is the point of power. Where is the point? The point is being in the present. That's true. Diana, that's right. You have a free mind. You can think whatever you want to think. You have a free mind, and you have a free mind right now. You have a free mind right now. Jim, that's correct. Right now, in this moment, this present, this is where your freedom is located. Right now. And so tell yourself, I allow it, I allow it, I allow it. And love is never boring. Arlene, you're right. Love is never boring. And we are love. We are love. We are love. So take a breath and tell yourself right now, I allow what's happening right now. 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 I'm going to be in my present. I allow what's happening right now. So, therefore, considering each of your next 30 days, this is what I want you to consider for the next 30 days. For the next 30 days, consider what could I utilize in this day to practice this exercise? What could I utilize to practice the exercise of allowing change? Well, of course, you cannot be without things to practice with. It's impossible for you to be without things to practice with. Those that say they are bored, anybody that's saying that they are bored, that's a person that's really saying, I am resisting the kingdom. I am resisting the love. I am resisting the love. If you are bored, if this is boring you, that's you resisting the kingdom. That's you resisting love. It's you resisting allowing. It's you resisting abundance. It's you resisting happiness. Boring means I am resisting. I feel bored means I am resisting the kingdom. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Pure and simple. Okay, so take a breath. Remember, we're going slow because we really want to hear this. Take a breath. Well, do we perceive once again, that so many in your world seek to find a spirituality that will free them of the world of their experience? There are a lot of people that are on a spiritual path so that they can be free of this world of experience, never even realizing that that very attitude is the thing that chains them, imprisons them in their hell. Okay, that is such an important sentence that I am not going to go any further until we hear it together. Okay, so let's hear this together. He's saying, Yeshua is saying, look, a lot of you all are looking for spirituality to try to free you from this world. You think this world is a horrible place that you need to try to free yourself from, so you're busy trying to be spiritual so that you can be free of the experiences of this world. If you're trying to become spiritual so that you can escape being in this world, that's the attitude that chains you to the world. That's the attitude that imprisons you in the hell of this world. It's when you're trying to escape this world without being present in this world, without allowing love in this world, without allowing yourself to be free. So trying to be spiritual so that you can escape is what chains a person to the world of fear. I'll say that again until I hear it. If you're studying metaphysical spiritual truth, if you're on your spiritual path just because you're trying to get the hell out of here and you're trying to escape everything that's here, that's really the attitude that keeps you here. Hating here, fighting here, resisting here, judging here, not allowing here is what binds you here. That's what imprisons you here. So do you know what imprisons a person here? Do you know what keeps a person in hell here? Trying to use their spirituality to escape, to flee, to not allow themselves to experience love here. Spirituality is what? Okay, so what is spirituality? Spirituality is a process of seeing things differently. So what is spirituality? It's a process of learning how to see things differently. I am becoming more spiritual when I am becoming more willing to see things differently. I am becoming more spiritual in my perception when I allow myself to look at things another way. So a willingness to look at things another way, a willingness to do things differently, that's an active decision. So being spiritual in your way of living is a decision. It is a process where you are willing to learn how to see things differently. It means you are willing to let go of being right so that you can allow yourself to be happy. If you don't like the way you feel, if you do not like the way you feel about something right now, this is what I want you to say to yourself. Say, at least I can decide that I don't like what I feel now, and so I hope I have been wrong. I don't like the way I feel. I hope I'm wrong. I don't like the way I feel. I hope I'm wrong. I don't like the way I feel. I hope I'm wrong about the way I'm seeing things. I don't like the way I feel, and so I hope I'm wrong about the way I'm seeing things. I don't like the way I feel, and so I hope I'm wrong about the way I'm seeing things. I am willing to see this differently. I am willing to see this differently. That is what a spiritual being says. A spiritual being, in any situation, they're always willing to see things differently. And seeing things differently is an active decision. It's an active decision. It's an active decision that comes from desire. First, you have to have the desire to see things differently. Then you have to have a little willingness to see things differently. And that little willingness to see things differently, that's what we call allowance. So whenever you say, I am allowing something to happen, you're really saying, I have a little willingness that this happens. Recognize that each moment is like a jewel. Each moment is like a jewel. It's like a jewel that's been presented on a golden plate to you. So each moment is a treasure. Each moment is a jewel. Each moment is a jewel. Each moment is priceless. This moment is priceless. This time that we have together is priceless. The time that I'm spending with you is priceless. You are God's child. You are God's child. You are the Creator's child. You are love's child. You are a child of God. You are a child of the universe. You are the light of the world. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, and allow it. Allow it. I am willing to experience myself as I am right now. I allow myself to experience myself as I am right now. You are a child of God. You are a child of love. You are the one who has the freedom. You are the one who has the freedom always. And literally, you create your experience. Literally, you make your experience. So say to yourself right now, I create my experience. 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 Say that to yourself. I create my experience. I create my experience. I create my experience. I create my experience. I am not a victim of the world I see. I am not a victim of the world I see. I am not a victim of the world I see. I am not a victim of anyone. 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 I am not a victim of anything. I am not a victim of anything. You are not a victim of anything. You are not a victim. 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 You create your experience. You make your experience. Now, Yeshua, or Jesus, says in the Way of Mastery, the final lesson that I had in time concerning allowance was the crucifixion. This is Jesus talking. Now I know that there are many of you who do not want to follow in my steps. There are a lot of you that don't want to be crucified. But rest assured, beloved friends, if you would look upon your experience, if you would really look well upon your experience, you have already tasted much more profound crucifixions many, many times. You've crucified yourself. You say you don't want to follow me because you might be crucified. Jesus says, well, let me tell you something. If you would look at your own experience, you have crucified yourself lots of times. You've hurt yourself lots of times. You've attacked yourself lots of times. You put yourself through hell and suffering lots of times. You've already tasted a lot of profound crucifixions. You might be in a relationship right now that's crucifying you. You could be in a financial situation right now that's crucifying you. You could be in a health situation right now that's crucifying you. You could be in a job or career situation right now that's crucifying you. So we are putting ourselves needlessly through crucifixions, but crucifixions of our own making. So in fact, for some of you, in terms of what some people go to, the Course says, Yeshua says, for some of you, my crucifixion was a cakewalk by comparison. So Yeshua was saying, some of the stuff that you're putting yourself through, what I went through as far as being crucified on the cross, that was like a cakewalk compared to what you went through in that last relationship. That could be a cakewalk compared to what you went through the last time that you had a health issue. You are free to crucify yourself no longer. Do you know that you are free to stop crucifying yourself? You are free to stop crucifying yourself. So how do you free yourself from crucifying yourself? How do you free yourself from hurting yourself? How do you stop hurting yourself? How do you stop hurting yourself? How do you stop crucifying yourself? You do it by choosing. Choosing what? Choosing to transform your very experience. So are you willing to transform your very experience? Because if you're willing to transform your very experience, that's when you're going to stop your crucifixion. That's when you're going to stop hurting yourself. You're going to stop hurting yourself when you're ready to transform your experience. So, okay, how do you transform your experience? How do you transform your experience? Well, the way that you transform your experience is by bringing the power of your mind to bear upon your experience. So the way you transform your experience, the way you keep yourself from suffering, the way you keep from crucifying yourself is through using the power of your mind. To use the power of your mind on your experience. To use desire. To use allowance. Through using the power of desire and through using the power of allowance, you will bring the power of your mind to bear upon your experience so that you can transform your experience. So what are the two things that you need to transform your experience? What are the two things you need to transform your experience? The two things that you need to transform your experience is desire and allowance. So what is it that's standing between you and the goal that you are seeking? What is it that's standing between you and the goal? What is it? I'll tell you exactly what's standing between you and your goal to have peace and joy and power and freedom. Are you ready? Are you ready? Do you really want to hear it? Do you want to hear what stands between you and the goal that you're seeking? Okay. What's standing between you and the goal that you're seeking is the decision to try to be insane. So what's standing between you and the goal of happiness that you're seeking is Fear is one of the answers, but the answer from the way of mastery is the decision to try to be insane. So what is the way of mastery's definition of insanity? What is the way of mastery's definition of insanity? Guess what? It's the decision to try to resist God. It's the decision to try to resist love. What's insanity is for you to resist God. It's insane to resist God. It's insane to resist God. That's the same as saying it's insane to resist the truth. That's the same as saying it's insane to resist love. So when you are insane, if you are an insane person, if you are an insane mind, then you are resisting the truth. You are resisting God. You are resisting your Creator. That is what stands between you and the happiness and the peace that you're looking for. What's standing between a person and the happiness and peace that they're looking for is their decision to try to be insane. And do you know that the decision to try to be insane is the decision to try to resist God? Now, you know that you can resist another body. Yeah, you can resist another body. You know, since another body occupies another piece of space, you can resist another body. Yeah, you can resist another body. In other words, it's not where you are, so you can resist it. But I'm going to say to you this. God is already present right where you are. 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 God is already present right where I am. God is already present right where I am. God is already wholly present right where you are. God is already wholly present right where you are. Right where you are. Right where you are. Right where you are. God is already wholly present right where you are. Love is already wholly present right where you are. How on earth can you resist what's already occupying the space in which you find yourself? How can you resist something that's already occupying the space where you are? Love is already occupying the space where you are. God is already occupying the space where you are. You might as well try to shake off your own hand. You might as well try to shake and jiggle the skin off your body. Good luck. So what is suffering? What is suffering? I love the comments that you're making. I love the comments that you're making. I love the comments that you're making to each other. I love, because when you take the time to make a comment, if you can, then that helps reinforce what you're hearing, especially if your comment is a repetition of something that's just been said. That's right, Sonja. God is already present right where I am. Joanne, love is right here. You're right. So what's the next thing I'm going to share with you? Well, the next thing I'm going to share with you is what all suffering is. What is suffering? What is suffering? What is all suffering? It didn't say what is some suffering. It says what is all suffering. Okay, I'm going to tell you. I want you to listen. I'm going to tell you what suffering is. Suffering is the resistance of reality. Suffering is the resistance of being present right now. Suffering is the resistance of the truth. All awakening, listen carefully. Did I say all awakening? Yes. All awakening, all healing is the letting go of resistance. All healing is the letting go of resistance. All awakening is the letting go of resistance. Resistance to what? The resistance to change, letting go of your resistance to God, letting go of your resistance to this truth that we're learning, letting go of the resistance to love. Forgiveness is healing. Forgiveness is healing. Allowance is healing. So what do you want to say? What do you want to say? God is already here. I am forever God's. I surrender. God is already here. I am forever God's. I surrender. Okay, say that with me. God is already here. I am forever God's. I surrender. God is already here. I am forever God's. I surrender. God is already here. I am forever God's. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. God is already here. I am forever God's. I surrender. Love is already here. I am forever Love's. I surrender. Love is already here. I am forever Love's. I surrender. Truth is already here. Truth is God. Truth is already here. I am forever Truth's. I surrender. So do you know that surrender is the fruit of allowance? The fruit of allowance is surrender. Surrender is the fruit of forgiveness. Do you know that the fruit of forgiveness is surrender? Do you know that surrender is the same as the atonement? So another word for atonement is surrender. I accept the atonement for myself. It's just another way of saying I accept surrender for myself. I accept surrender to God for myself. So for now, what I want to ask you to do, I want to ask you to simply focus on allowance. I want you to focus on allowance to make sure that you haven't left some dark corner in the mind filled with your need to perceive things in a certain way. Get rid of the part of your mind that says you've got to see things a certain way, even if it's not bringing you any kind of real happiness or peace. Let go of the part of your mind that says, I won't change my way of looking at things. Let go of that part of your mind that has a need to see it the way it wants to see it, no matter what. Let go of that part of your mind that is insisting that you know what your own best interest is in every situation, that you must keep your way of looking at things, even if the way of looking at things that you are using, it's not bringing you the peace and happiness that you need. So what is your need? The need that you need to let go of is your need to believe that the world should be other than the way that the world is. Let go of your need to believe that the world should be other than the way that the world is. I know that might bring up a lot of resistance. I know that, but that doesn't mean that this isn't the answer. The answer is you need to let go of your need to believe that the world should be other than the way the world is, or your forgetfulness that each event that transpires in your experience can be seen as heaven or hell. In other words, as you choose to see only heaven, as you choose to see only love, as you choose to see only love, as you choose to see only truth, you will discover the power that has already set you free. As you choose to see only the truth, as you choose to see only heaven, as you choose to see only God, as you choose to see only love, that's when you're going to discover the power that has already set you free. There's a power that has already set you free. There's a power that has already set you free. So how do you get to the point that you see the power that will set you free? You have to go, you know what, I'm going to choose only to see the truth. I'm going to choose only to see heaven. I'm going to choose only to see what the truth is teaching me. I'm going to choose to see only what the truth is teaching me. I'm going to choose to see only heaven. And then you will discover the power that has already set you free. Like you were just saying, who was that? Like Kim just said, my favorite saying is, it is what it is. That's exactly what you should be doing, Kim. And Alita says, each event that comes into my experience can be heaven or hell, depending on what? How I choose to see it. And we have to choose to see only heaven. We have to choose to see only love. Okay, so let's bring it home. The message of this lesson is quite valuable. This is a really valuable lesson. And the message of this lesson is quite valuable if you put it into practice. This message is very, very valuable if you put it into practice. After all, what else could you possibly want to use time for? What else could you possibly want to use time for except to allow yourself to remove all the blocks inside your mind to the love and happiness and abundance and joy that you know is your divine right? What you have been doing with me, what we have been doing for this last hour, that is exactly the best use of time. We're using the time for love. We're using the time to join. We're using the time to wake up. We're using the time to let go of everything that blocks our good. You've tried everything else. You've tried everything else, and you found everything else lacking. You have not been able to fill it up with enough lovers, with enough money, with enough cars, enough restaurants, or whatever else outside of ourselves that we're looking for. So you might as well fill it up with the transformation of consciousness. You just as well use time to transform your consciousness, because you'll never be able to fill time up with enough lovers. You'll never be able to fill time up with enough money, enough physical pleasure, enough cars, enough restaurants. So you might as well start to fill your time up with transformation of consciousness. I use my time to transform my consciousness. There is nothing more important to me in my life than transform. You're looking at a person who puts God, truth, transformation of consciousness, learning how to allow first. It comes before anybody. It comes before anything. My spiritual path is not something that's a hobby. It's not something I do when I think I've done everything else, and now I'm going to settle down to focus on my spiritual truth. It is the first thing I think about in the morning, and it's the last thing I think about before I go to sleep. It's the transformation of my consciousness. You know why? Because it makes my life work. It makes everything go easier. It gets rid of the drama. It rids my life of insane people and insane relationships. People who are insane are people who resist love. They're the people who resist truth. They're the people who resist joining. I'm going to use my time for the transformation of consciousness. I want to join with other people who want to use their time for the transformation of consciousness. And that, brothers and sisters, is why I love you. That's why I appreciate my mighty companions that join me in these live broadcasts, as well as those who watch them later. This is a mighty, mighty tribe of mighty companions that we are forming. So you might as well fill your time up with the transformation of consciousness. Why do you want to spend your time filling it up with transformation of consciousness? So that your perception becomes more and more and more aligned with the real world. And the real world is the world of unconditional love. The real world is the world of unconditional love. And when you transform your consciousness, your perception will become more and more and more aligned with the real world. Thank you, Brooke. I love you too. I appreciate all of your love. I feel your love. I hope you feel mine. I am not just another teacher trying to intellectually share intellectual ideas. I want to be the love. I want to be the conduit of love. I want to be what I'm talking about. I want to join with you so we can allow love together, so that we can stop being insane together, so that we can stop spending our time resisting God together. And Rhonda says the real world is unconventional love. Yes, I love that. The real world isn't just unconditional love. The real world is unconventional love. It's love that is not like the love that the world gives. If somebody asks you what you do with your time, do you know what you're supposed to say? You're supposed to say, I grow Christ. What do you do? Because people are always asking you, what is it that you do? Every time you're in a party or a social gathering, usually, and you meet somebody, the first thing that they ask you is, what do you do? And then I try to remember to say, I grow Christ. Or I will say, I grow love. I'm a love grower. What do you do? I grow love. What do you do? I grow Christ. What do you do? I grow sanity. What do you do? I grow awareness. What do you do? I grow allowance. What do you do? I grow peace. What do you do? So practice well. Practice well. Begin with the statements given to you at the beginning of this lesson. That's where you start. You start with the statements that have been given to you at the beginning of this lesson. These statements are very important for you that we heard at the beginning of this lesson today. These statements are very important for you as a way of triggering the opportunity to observe what might be unlike the truth, still lingering in the mind, still lingering in your emotional field. What I've been saying to you, you need to use it as a way of triggering an opportunity to observe. To observe what? What might be unlike the truth that's still in your mind. You need to observe what's going on in your mind that's not love. You need to observe what's going on in your mind that's not innocence. You need to observe what's going on in your mind that is not allowance. You need to observe what's going on in your emotions that's unlike God, that's unlike love, that's unlike the truth, which is really just the space of glue in which you attach perceptions. It's like pinning the tail to the donkey. Stick that one on the wall and keep it forever. Let those things bubble up. Let those things in you that are not the truth bubble up, that they might be purified from your holy mind. If you get angry, if you get upset, no matter what it is that's less than love that goes through your mind, let it come up. Don't repress it. Don't suppress it. If you feel angry, don't suppress it. If you feel guilty, don't suppress it. If you're feeling insecure and fearful and jealous, don't suppress it. Let it come up. Let it bubble up so that it can be purified. Let it bubble up so that it can be released from your holy, innocent mind. This is not a course in repression. This is not a course in phony positive thinking that has nothing to do with taking a look at what's really going on deep in your subconscious mind. Above all, my beloved friends, above all, remember this. Above everything else that you've heard me say, remember this. There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. And if there was a such thing as a mistake, the mistake would be not allowing all things to be exactly as they really are. That means you are free. You are free to trust the momentum that seems to be shaping your life. Trust the momentum that is shaping your life. Trust the momentum that is shaping your life. Trust that there's a divine plan for your life. Trust that there is a momentum that is shaping your life. And sometimes that divine design that you have agreed with your Creator, if you want to do something other than that, you are not allowed to do it. Once you start the spiritual process, you will not get everything that you want the way that you want it. Because it may be that what you want and what you think you want is not for your own best interest. So when you really start to wake up on a spiritual path, it does not mean that you will get everything that you think you want. You will not get everything that you think you want, because the truth is, the spiritual path and these spiritual teachings say over and over and over again, you don't perceive your own best interest. You don't really know what's best for you. And so therefore, that which loves you may not allow you to have some of the things that you want, because they simply would not be for your own best interest. And you are to allow that. Allow yourself not to receive everything that you think you want. If the thing that you think you want, or the person that you think you want, or the person that you think you want, is not for your own best interest. You are the one who has complied with the momentum that's shaping your life. You have complied with God now. You have complied with love, because you invited the Holy Spirit to take you home. You have invited God into your life. You have invited truth into your life. And by inviting the Holy Spirit to take you home, do you know what you have done by inviting the Holy Spirit to take you home? That means you are the one who has now complied with the momentum that is shaping your life. You are the one who has prayed for acceleration. You're the one that's saying, I want to move faster toward my joy. I want to move faster toward my total fulfillment. I want to move faster toward love. You are the one who has prayed for acceleration. And do you know that the best way to have acceleration is by inviting the Holy Spirit into your life, by inviting the divine to take you home. I invite the Holy Spirit to take me home. Home is love. To take me to love, to take me to the real love, not the phony human love that's based on bargains and agreements and anger broken into by periods, and when it looks like you're getting along because it looks like you're doing what each other wants you to do. We're talking about the real love. You're the one that has prayed for acceleration. You are the one that has prayed for real love. Therefore, do you know what you need to also do? You need to also be the one who accepts the grace being offered unto you. Remember, resistance is the ego. Embracing is of Christ. Embracing is of your true self. Resistance is of the ego, and the ego is your fearful, separated mind. Your ego is the fearful, separated part of your mind. So resistance is of the ego. Embracing is of Christ. Embracing is of love. So also, I want you to consider this. Would you be willing to consider? Would you be willing to consider the one that allows all things has already transcended all things? If you can allow all things, you transcend them. Whatever you can allow, you can transcend. Let this lesson become what? Let this lesson of cultivating allowance, let this lesson become a month-long journey of exploration. Let this journey of allowing to become a month-long journey of exploration. So be you, therefore, at peace this day, right now. Be at peace right now, this day, right now. Allow it. Be at peace this day. Amen. Be you, therefore, at peace this day. Amen. Take a breath. Now, I want to remind you, these videos, these classes are always available for replay. Try to listen to each one of these lessons that I do at least 3 times. At least 3 times. To allow yourself to get the juice out of what's being said. I'm a full-time teacher of God and truth. That's what I do in the world. That is my calling. And if you would like to make a financial expression of appreciation, I would really, really appreciate that. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, P-U-R-D-Y. You can go to my website, and on the home page, you can make a donation. I really would appreciate your support of my full-time teaching ministry. You're innocent, whether you do it or not, but I would appreciate it if you would. I'm also available for one-on-one counseling consultation sessions called Clarity Sessions, where I take my almost 40 years of working with people to help you clear up and remove blocks that you know it's time for you to go past towards your happiness and your connection to Source. How do you make this practical? How do you get past some situation or some pattern that you know you've had forever that you're trying to get beyond? I can help you do that. I also have been an astrologer and a numerologist for 40 years. I would not do something for 40 years that is not helpful and that is crazy and that doesn't work. Please give me credit for having at least that much sense. So there are many ways that Spirit communicates with us and gives us information. And I'm willing to bring all of my skills into our session. And if you're not open to an astrological, numerological insight, then we don't have to talk about that. And we can use other methods that I know. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and it explains my clarity sessions. And you can self-book right there online for an appointment. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to go deeper with you so that you can experience allowing the love that you deserve in your life. On Thursdays, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I do hardcore Course in Miracles for students that are already studying A Course in Miracles. I've been a Course in Miracles teacher student for 38 years. On Sundays at 1 p.m., I do another Course in Miracles class before a live audience. 1 p.m. Sundays on Mountain Time here in Denver. And also on Tuesdays, we got each other, our fantastic Way of Mastery group. And that's 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Go to the Earl Purdy page on Facebook and really follow the page and like the page so that whenever I come online, you will be informed about it. And I have also hundreds of classes on my website for free and also on YouTube, as well as on my page. So what am I telling you that for? So that you will know that you have a lot of support that's available to you. So I'm going to finish this up right now by just going over some quick tips for the next 2 or 3 minutes to kind of bring this all together. I'm so grateful to you. You all are awesome. So for the next 30 days, just remember that we've been asked to cultivate allowing. So what we're going to work on is allowing, okay? So that means no matter what mundane thing you're doing, taking a bath, washing dishes, watching TV, take a moment to say, I allow this change to occur. So what you're going to do then is that you're going to become smart. And becoming smart means that you're going to stop resisting change. You're going to stop resisting love. You're going to stop resisting God. Because the decision to resist God, the decision to resist love is insanity. That's what insanity is. So if you burn your toast, if you have something happen that you don't like, and your mind begins to complain, stop complaining, look at whatever it is and say, I allow this. And that means you're free to choose to handle it however you want to handle it, but first you want to remember that you allow it. So give yourself permission to bring your mind back from the future or back from the past and tell yourself, I allow, I allow, I allow. So the power of transformation is the transformation of your consciousness, because it's only your consciousness that needs to be transformed. Not the people outside of you, not the things outside of you, not the circumstances outside of you, but what needs to be transformed is your consciousness. And you transform your consciousness through learning. Learning transforms your consciousness, and the way of mastery is something for you to learn that will transform your consciousness. And you can get the Way of Mastery on Amazon. You can also buy the Way of Mastery, and you can get it on Kindle. And you can also get the Way of Mastery through the Shanti Christos Foundation. So all of your learning is designed to translate your perception so that your perception gets more and more in alignment with love and truth and reality. And when your perception has changed so that you are thinking more in line with the truth, that's when fear will dissolve from the mind. And then God will take the final step of joining and love for you. So tell yourself again, I allow this change to occur. I allow this change to occur. Mighty companions, again, you continue to be the priceless, eternal treasures that blow my mind. And it's always my pleasure and a privilege and an honor to talk to you and to share with you. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and sign up for my contact list. I have a lot of classes that I'm planning to do online in the fall, but they will be classes that are private classes for people that register to do it. I'll continue to do some of my Facebook Live things, but I'm ready to take things to a deeper level with people who are even more devoted and ready to make a commitment to that devotion, who want to take advantage of somebody who's been obsessed with the truth for the last 40 years. So make sure you're on my contact list. Go to earlpurdy.com. I love you. I love you, Diana. I love all of you who are telling me that you love me. I appreciate you. You're a blessing for me. And may the course be with you. I'll see you next time. I love you.